because I do 1,300 crunches and sit-ups 4 times a week.
What's a dose? Can you translate for us?
Winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Ernie Els.
Welcome back to the Go Track, everybody, the podcast about golf and golf adjacent stuff, mostly from Africa. Playing a little 2-ball this evening. Good evening, JDV. How are you?
Evening, Terence. The public holiday. So, as you know, been a couple of drinks down. So this could get interesting.
But before we hit record, you sounded super sober. So
I can turn it on and off.
I'm thrilled.
It's my superpower.
I'm thrilled and delighted to see that large glass of vino next to you, because we all know, all our listeners know where these episodes go.
Public holiday episodes.
We're talking about public holidays. This episode is probably coming out around about the 6th of May, guys. I hope you guys all had a great double header public holiday long weekends in a row. Time to do some real work now for the next 6 weeks. But just talking about our listeners, JDV, I think what you've realized is that we've got quite a big following on social media with the Go Track, and a lot of people know us from our Go Track videos, short videos that we've done on Instagram and that. But there's definitely a void between that following and the downloads and that we get on the podcast. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, I didn't realize you guys actually do a full podcast." JDV, it goes to the video I sent you recently about how everyone is just addicted to short form content these days. But guys, please, what we do know though about you listeners who listen to the podcast is that you guys are hell of a loyal, and we have essentially the same listenership almost every week. I think we've got a very loyal, small but loyal following, and so what I'm going to say is please share the podcast itself with somebody in your circle, or it may be more than one person, it may be 3 or 4 people who you think will really appreciate sort of the longer form podcast and content that we create. ADV and I have also recommitted to doing some more writing, so we have a newsletter which is going to be going out monthly that actually hit the inboxes today, although that was on the 1st of May, which is when we're recording. But guys, so please do share this podcast episode. We don't often ask for the whole like and subscribe vibe, but we are asking today, please share with someone who you think will enjoy, someone who has a long commute, JDV, possibly, who's willing to take all the ramblings that are going to come their way from the Go Track. Right. This evening, or today, guys, we've got a short show lined up. We've got things to do. There's holidays, there's golf to play, there's travel plans to be made. JDV, we're going to touch very briefly on our thoughts on the current LIV situation. We're going to put a big focus of this episode, guys, is so probably within a day or two of you guys listening to this episode, the new SA Top 100 rankings are going to be out. And we have an interview lined up with Stuart McLean, who's the editor of SA Top 100, and that will be post the Top 100 coming out. So we're gonna fire a lot of questions his way about the process of the ranking. I'm sure there'll be some controversy. There's always a bit of controversy with when the Top 100 is released. I know club members take this Top 100 list very seriously. But we wanted to chat a little bit about some predictions that we have for particularly some of the courses that have either undergone major renovations or are new courses, or courses that have been out of the top 100 that sat out for a couple of years and are coming back in. We're going to make some predictions around where we think they're going to enter. And then lastly, guys, we're just going to touch a little bit on some personal golf stuff between JDV and I, playing a little bit of personal competitive golf. But JDV, obviously, a lot of news around the LIV storm that is happening at the moment. Where do you sit on LIV golf as we are today, 1st of May at 13 minutes past 6 p.m.?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. Things are happening so quickly that I think any predictions that we make now, you could look like a bit of a chop in 5 days' time, because I think the rate that things are coming out, where we sit now, there's a new board that's been elected. But I think where I sit is in a in a house in Natal in South Africa. So it's a very South African perspective. And I really do feel bad for the South African team. The shout out Stingers, now the Southern Guards, and the Rippers, the Aussie team. I think if you're looking at two teams and two nations that have embraced their national team, call it if you want to, on LIV, it's been Australia and South Africa, and Australia and South Africa show out, I would say, more than any other country in the world to support the events and to support those teams in particular. I do feel really bad for the players. I think the players and their teams, and when I say the team, the Rippers and the Southern Guards, but also their broader sort of teams around them, have clearly put a ton of effort into these brands. I know there's lots of shots being fired from all corners on, the Mickey Mouse, this and that, but I genuinely think that they have taken it seriously, and they've been received well in South Africa and Australia, and there's a number of reasons for that. And I do feel terrible for the Southern Guards and for the Rippers in particular, just because it's a lot of effort and it's a lot of buy-in from the nations and from those teams for what looks like it could be sort of fizzling out. From a personal perspective,
listen, just to jump in there quickly, they don't lose too much sleep over those guys. They have made a shitload of money, so I think
they'll be okay.
I hear your sentiment, but I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to be okay.
I suppose my tears are more for like the lost opportunity, not so much the lost dollars from their bank accounts. I think that's going to go on for a couple of generations, those bank accounts. But it just feels like something that South Africa, in particular, needed and got. We've discussed on previous podcasts about a Ryder Cup or a Aussie versus South Africa rivalry for golf, and maybe this gives rise to some sort of a spin-off. I doubt it. I don't know what the next iteration is. I think my big takeaway is, following the success of LIV, is that we went and bought some hospitality tickets for clients. And honestly, now the worst case scenario for me for those hospitality tickets is that it gets like folded into the Asian tour, and we get some second-rate, shitty event that comes to Stain City, and they're like, no, we're still putting an event on. It's still going to be great. Like, none of the superstars are there, and you're still going to get your hospitality. And guys are like, God, are we really going to like hack up to Stain City to go and watch Tongchai Jaidi or someone like hack around Stain City? That is the worst case scenario. I think the two best case scenarios are either
Sean Norris is a big Asian tour guy. I mean, are you not gonna head up to Joburg to watch Sean?
I mean, I could probably head to Durban Country Club to watch Sean Norris. But
I think you're right. I think that is worst case scenario.
No, so best case T is that there's two options. The one is that they get the funding that they need, and it's the same, similar, if not the same, sort of vibe and players and show that they put on that we got. And the other, and I want to call it like genuinely best case scenario for us personally, is that thing like falls apart completely and we get a refund. But like the worst case scenario is that like middle ground, like shitty event that everyone's already bought tickets for.
Yeah, I agree. I completely with you. I don't want to sit here and do the whole LIV explainer and call it dead or defend it, because I have no idea what's going to happen. Let's be honest. like I have, to be honest with you, I did reach out to a few people that I met, when we were on LIV on the ground, like on the media side and that. Nobody knows what's going on, JDV. Like, honestly, nobody has any idea. So, cool new board, and yes, we're looking for funding. I mean, it doesn't sound great, right? It sounds like it's probably not going to happen. And if it does happen or stick around, I think your prediction could be more of the reality than you think it is. Like, Liv carries on with kind of some real third-rate guys, and maybe a few of the old bullies kind of hanging in there, the Pulsers and the Westwoods and that. I don't know. I think for me, if the thing that's interesting to keep an eye on is Bryson. So like we said it in our LIV kind of summary. So we were like, okay, Bryson literally carried that whole South African LIV event, and let's be honest, John Rahm was a great what would you call him? The supporting actor, yeah. Best supporting actor, but Bryson certainly carries that thing. So what is Bryson like? I'd love to see the phone calls and stuff that guy's involved in at the moment, like trying to work out, okay, where am I going to position myself? Huge amount of IP. Like, obviously he was probably trying to renegotiate his contract with LIV. That's obviously pretty much must be over now, that contract renegotiation. So now he's more like, I'm trying to fund, like maybe he's trying to fundraise, essentially, like raise the capital and have a real like business interest in it. He's got a whole bunch of interesting people that he's kind of teamed up with from the YouTube side and that. So I don't see Bryson just kind of going back to the PGA Tour. I think a lot of these other guys might just go back to the PGA Tour. I don't think I see Bryson doing that. So I think for me, it's like, cool. I'm interested to see like what kind of, how is that going to play out in terms of not necessarily Bryson, because I think Bryson gives off that he's like, honestly, that he's cleverer than he actually is when it comes to business. I think he's a clever guy, but I don't think he's like a clever business guy. But I think he's probably got a pretty solid team around him that knows what his value is in terms of, as an asset. And there'll be some maneuvering that goes on there. So I think that's interesting for me to watch. I mean, I share your thoughts, like super bummed just as a South African that we may not get that event again. It was unbelievable. I'm glad I was there. I'm glad we got to experience it. Bummed. I mean, but Taki kind of summed it up in our post-match, didn't he? He was like, we were all glazing LIV about how amazing everything was and the glass and the, how epic everything looked. And Taki was like, it's just phenomenal what that oil money can get you. And I mean, that at the end of the day, that kind of is, that is kind of the reality of where we ended up.
Look, can I say this? If it does fall apart, the DP World Tour, the European Tour, could get sick for a year. I mean, like some of those South African events, I mean, your Joburg Open, your SA Open, the Nedbank, if it falls apart and all of the guys have to sit their year out or whatever it is, and they've still got European Tour status, or they can get into those events through like their Sunshine Tour status, or some of the Americans try and like fold their way into Asian Tour and Sunshine Tour or European Tour while they wait to get back onto the PGA. I think we could be in for a pretty sick season of European Tour golf before the guys sort of make their way back and sit out there
100%
and sit out their suspensions. So yeah, I think we might not get the LIV party and the LIV show in terms of the golfers, but I think the if it does disintegrate LIV, I think you'll find the elevation in terms of the playing fields in some of the South African events just by virtue of the guys going through European Tour and DP World Tour while they wait out their suspensions.
Yeah, and I mean it would be so opportunistic if those guys just like basically announce their own like massive events, in in Australia and South Africa. I mean, they already have the events. They already do the SA Open, they do the Australian Open. So I still think the whole LIV story is going to be a net benefit for golf, and probably luckily we had that event JDV in South Africa. I think the global golf market are going to say we need to be doing one big massive event in South Africa, and whether that's the PGA Tour. I don't think it is the PGA Tour, but hopefully the DP World Tour are going to go, okay, we need to have like a show-stopping event in each of those markets because the people are going to rock up. Okay, JDV, that's more than enough time spent on what we know absolutely nothing about or can predict. So let's talk SA Top 100. We've got the new rankings, which are going to be coming out at the time of this podcast, probably in a couple of days. So I think there's some interesting nuances to look at in terms of a couple of courses that we're going to try and predict where they land. JDV, just before we get into that though, what is kind of and I'm asking you this completely unprepared, but like what is kind of one thing that you want to know from Stuart McLean around the top 100 and how that process works and how they put it together?
Honestly,
or have you got 10? Have you got 10 questions, not one question?
I've got a number of questions. I think I need to distill them a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the main one is going to be around how much weight does he put on the ranking of a course, because he visits it like most of these courses, he visits them once a year. And I just want to understand how he separates like seeing a course. I mean, you might have just a ton of rain and the rest of it and the conditioning shit, for a week of the year. And that's the year that that's the week that he drives around it or the day that he drives around it. And he's like, you lose 10 or what? No, probably not 10, but I mean a couple of ranking points. So I need to understand the conditioning and that sort of thing. Is it just what he sees on the day, or is there like other feedback that he receives?
From what I understand, and one of the reasons why they opened up, so like you can actually rate a course on the top 100 website, and there's very few categories you can rate. But essentially, one of the reasons they did that is for exactly that reason, is to say, look, we visit a course at a certain point in time, but we want to get a broader idea of how the conditioning of the course is generally perceived. So like how it stacks up against other courses. But yeah, that's I think that's a great question. Like I think there's, I mean, we must get into it offline around like stuff we want to chat to Stuart about. But yeah, there's a lot. I think there's a lot that goes into it, and I think there's a lot that we need to unpack and understand. So JDV, we wanted to look at it, just a couple of golf courses and make some predictions essentially around where we think they're going to sit. Now, I think one of the interesting things, and we're going to talk specifically about the top 10 at the moment. I think what we've seen in the last 5 years, JDV, is a real settling of the sort of top 5 or 6 courses in the country. We see a little bit of movements, 1 or 2 places up and down here, but essentially those courses, and let's just go through them now. We got the links. We've got Blair Athol, Leopard Creek, Pearl Valley, and I'm going to say St. Francis Links. I think those 5, I would be very surprised if that wasn't the top 5 in some order.
Sorry, say it again.
This new top 100.
So is it the one that you've got, basically the top 5 as it is now?
I would be surprised if those weren't the top 5 courses, not necessarily in that order. I think maybe there's some points up and down that they might go. But I mean, do you see any of the other courses breaking into that top 5?
So it's interesting you say that. So I'm just looking
quite
at
settled.
2024. I'm just looking at the top 5 here. You've got Leopard Creek, the Links, St. Francis Links, Blair Athol, Arabella. So Pearl Valley was out of that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's not as settled as you think, and I genuinely think there's the case to be made for DCC. And that sort of goes to my question about when did Stuart visit DCC? Because, I mean, if you pick DCC on a sort of a mint day, like pre-floods or whatever the case is, then there's
he
a
was
real
at the
case for a top
Johnson.
five.
He was at the Johnson Workwear Open. That was his.
Okay, well, DCC might be in like the 80s then.
No, I agree with you, and so the point I was getting at is that what we've seen is maybe a little bit more churn around the positions in the top 10, around sort of positions 9 to 12, I would say.
Yeah.
There's been, so let's just go through it right now. So we've got St. Francis, so we're down to St. Francis Links at 5. Then we've got Glendower at 6. I don't see Glendower dropping out of the top 10. Although, is that right? I mean, are we...
Well, I mean,
Are
listening
we
to what
100%
Ben...
sure that Glendower wouldn't drop right out of the top 10? Because
what Ben
I think
was
it's going to
sort of
go down a
predicting
little
that-
bit.
Honestly, I've got that written down here. What sort of from what Ben? I mean, I don't know if I should be outing him, but it sounds like Glendower might not be in the top 10.
Ben Kopinski hates Glendower.
Print it.
No,
okay.
he didn't say that.
So T, let me just quickly read you 2024 because I think it's important to sort of see the where it goes. So 2024 was Leopard Creek number 1, Links 2, St. Francis Links 3, Blair Athol 4, Arabella 5, Pearl Valley 6, Fancourt 7, Glendower 8, Sishan 9, East London 10. So there is it is quite a little bit different to what you've got. I mean, there's no Pinnacle Point. You've got obviously Durban Country Club coming in there.
Montague, Fancourt Montague is currently sitting at 11. That wasn't once that you mentioned.
Yes. So Montague was 7 on 2024. Now it's 11 in 2025. So I think there's a bit more churn in the top 10.
Let's do this, JDV. Give me your locks for the top 10.
Okay. Leopard Creek, Fancourt Links, St. Francis Links, Blair Athol, Durban Country Club, Pearl Valley.
Yes.
Give me... Sorry, I've just got a streaker coming in, yeah?
My daughter... Hello?
Georgie, that is
what is this? What is this? What is this?
What do you want to say?
Hello, Georgie.
Say something.
Hey.
Hey. Oh,
sorry, guys.
you just missed it.
Streaker.
I'm better at hiding it, but my daughter came in just now to ask me for something, and I was doing that like the hand signal,
like you know that the news thing where they go, she like rocks in like that.
I think she came in here to ask me for like 3 scoops of ice cream. I was like, oh, I can wait.
Yeah, take it. Take your 3 scoops. Off you go.
Take the whole box. Have it all.
Have it all. Have it all. Take the tub.
She might have asked me for 3 magnums. I might be getting it. She might have opened all 3 of them already. And an Easter egg. Yeah. Anyway. But that was a nice first introduction to everyone to George on the podcast.
Yeah,
Shout out George. I mean, he wasn't crying or screaming, which is great.
He came in very professional.
He's happy. Yeah, very
T, sorry, I got to 7. I would love to see Humewood up there. I don't know. Again, it's been a while since I've played Humewood.
But it's not a lock. It's not a lock.
No, it's definitely not a lock.
Don't you think Arabella is a lock?
Did I say no? Did I not say Arabella?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, put Arabella in there as a lock, so that's 7.
I think those are the only 7 that you can lock.
I agree.
I haven't played Pinnacle Point yet, so I just know a lot of people who don't really love Pinnacle Point, so I think it's tough having it in the top 10. I just don't know if we can lock any others, JDV. We've got that sort of. There's 5 other courses which I think could take those 3 spots. That's how I see. I think it's
Okay, tell me your
Glendower.
other 5. Are you happy with the locks that I've put in there?
Yes, those would be my locks. So I think the next one would be Glendower. I think it's East London, Montague, Sishan, and I don't know. I mean, I guess Pinnacle Point, but yeah, it's hard for me, the Pinnacle Point one, because it just as I say, I know a lot of people have different opinions on it.
Have we put
but that's
Glendower in
it.
there for a lock?
Yeah, no.
I don't think we did.
Are you going to lock Glendower?
I'm not going to lock Glendower. I think it should be part of that 5 discussion that you're saying. The other one
So we're
is Royal
agreed on that.
J&K
Then.
East. Royal J&K East has been up there in the top 5 previously. It's fallen down, but I mean, I think there's an argument to be made there too.
So where's okay? It's sitting at 16 right now. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be surprised if it jumped up from 16 into that. That'd be a big jump.
I love Zimbali
maybe-
tea, but I cannot believe Zimbali's ahead of Royal J&K East.
Yeah, it's froth over Zimbali. Yeah. Well, they love a little Turako calling in their backswing.
You haven't spoken
Look,
to
it's
Sean
better than
Villiers.
having a parakeet. It's better than having a parakeet calling in your backswing. So I'll give it that. It puts it ahead of Glendower from that perspective. Yeah, JDV, I think I agree with you. I'd love to see Humid back up there, and it'd be interesting to know why it's. What's nice about when you get the top 100 is you see all the little breakdowns of, where they drop the ball. It must be a conditioning thing for Humid. A place that I'm interested in whether it ever gets towards the top 10 is Highland Gate. Because Highland Gate is a place that gets universal praise from people when I speak to them about playing that golf course. I've heard very few people say a bad thing about Highland Gate. And JDV, I have to tell you, when people are listening to this podcast, it may be on the actual day that I will actually be playing Highland Gates for the first time. While you guys are listening to this, I might actually
is
be
Highland
out there
Gates
on the fairways.
on the itinerary?
It's absolutely
my
we've
goodness.
added it to the post Kruger. So I'm heading to Kruger tomorrow. We're doing a 3-day walk, and then we have somehow added in 2 nights at Highland Gates. So I will be teeing it up at Highland Gate for the first time, JDV.
Shit, I'm jealous. Yes, that's a course I want
Very
to play
excited.
so badly. It's one that I do think, from everything I've heard, from everything I've seen, it's sitting at 21 at the moment. I mean, it seems like it should be higher than 21, like based on the aura around it.
So exactly, there's a lot of aura. I mean, even old what's his name, the LIV Rick Shields, who must also be furiously looking for another social media gig. But maybe that's why he's promoting like tourism golf into Kruger Park these days. But he was glazing Highland Gates big time as well. So I guess we'll find out, JDV, after I've been there.
T, if I had to put your feet to the fire, where would you say DCC would fit in? We said that it was locked for top 10. It was 8, by the way, in 2025.
JDV, legitimately, I would really like to see DCC in the top 5, like in either position
5,
4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 8 is not a true. If I look at the mix of courses in the top 5, most of these courses are courses that were built. I don't know. I mean, what's the oldest course there? Probably the Links, which tells you a hell of a lot. The Links was only built in like the early 2000s or in the late 90s. So I would love to see one of our golden gems there, and I think Durban Country Club is the best golden gem that we have in this country. So yeah, I'd like to see it in the top, like in the top 3 or 4, JDV. I'm gonna take a stab and say it'll be at number 5.
Look, I think 5 or 6, and I'd probably lean towards 6. And the reason I say that is it's still got some growing in to do. I think its ultimate position will probably be 3 or 4.
Okay.
I just don't think that this year it's going to be, having still growing in a bit, still sort of settling. I don't think it's going to be at that 3 or 4 position yet. I would say 6 would be my two spots up, top 10. I think that's not bad.
When 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 you say the word settling, I'm still picturing Oaks like with canoes, like paddling down the 16th fairway, and I'm like, oh, is it settling?
Salt is
they
settling.
just all they need to do is just get rid of those sardines on the ninth hole, and then they're gonna have like the best course ever. Like, no, those aren't sardines, those are tilapia. They're like, okay, yeah. Listen, I think unfortunately what's going to happen is that they're going to have to keep doing a little bit of work there with the flooding that's happened. But yeah, I agree with you. I think I'm hopeful that it's in the top 5, but I think you're right. I think it might struggle to break in there. Those top 5 courses are very strong. Yeah. Okay, JDV, we need to move on here. We promised ourselves we weren't going to do this, so let's go now to your home course, JDV, Cotswold Downs. I mean, are you happy with where Cotswold Downs currently sits? So let's just find it here. So where are we, JDV?
It's at 51. It's down 1 place from 50, and I'll chalk that up to DCC squeezing its way in at 8 last year, which pushed it down a spot to 51. See, this goes to my question about sort of, there's obviously big changes, and it seems like everyone else just sort of adjusts to the big changes within the top 100. So I don't know, and it's something I want to ask Stuart is like how much. I mean, if you sort of re-rate everything at the same time, it's a shit show. So it almost looks like some courses that take a massively forward or courses that take a massively backward have the biggest impact on all the other courses that sort of move 1 or 2 spots here and there. So with that being said, I mean, there's nothing major, I think, at Cotswold. I know they've trying to relook at the lines. They've taken down quite a lot of trees. They're remowing the fairway lines to what they originally were, but I think that's all been done post Stuart's walk around. And again, the bones of the course can't change. It's not like you can redesign the layouts. I mean, 50, 51, it'll probably be 51 again, if I'm being frank.
In some ways, that's kind of the heart of like, what I want to get to in terms of questions is that like, okay, outside of conditioning, which is quite a big category, how much movement can there be when you have the same people that are essentially rating these courses?
Yeah. Playability, shot value, it can't change. It's the same course.
It's the same golf course, unless you rated it after having a really shit day there. I just look at like, and I mean, look, I like playing at Cotswold. I think it's got a good mix of holes. I think we've spoken about some of the stuff that I would change there. I think there could be some changes that could make it a little bit more like enticing and variable, like some of the short par 4s and that. But like I look at some of the courses that are above it, and I'm like,
that's my issue. Like Wingate Park above Cotswold.
Like Wingate. So like I played Wingate last year for the first time. Nice golf course, like parkland, but like, yeah, I don't think it's above Cotswold, to be honest with you. Like Modderfontein, that's got to be a tough one for Hoff, to see Modderfontein 6-7 places above.
It's literally what Hoff uses as his like example of a stock standard Joburg golf course.
I mean, Steenberg, JDV. I mean, I haven't played at Steenberg, but that's a couple of points
nice.
above.
It's well conditioned vineyards, but I mean, it's like the houses are on top of you in Steenberg.
Yeah,
I need to understand that aspect of it because I think the biggest question is around that sort of 30 to 60 mark. It just seems like all those golf courses are, something that is 60 could be 30. On any given day, like depending on who you're asking and depending what conditions.
Like Peakenwood.
Yeah.
I mean, Peakenwood's at 34, Victoria's at 37. You know.
Again, like
Anyway.
yeah.
To me, Cotswold feels like
You
it should
think-
be a top 50 course in the country, and I
think it's been done dirty.
don't know.
Should we just do our whole podcast with Stuart just talking about Cotswold Downs? Like, I want you to run me through every single like criteria of Cotswold Downs and how you got there.
I think if they changed the fifth and the sixth holes at Cotswold, it would get into the top 50 there. That's my hot take, JDV. If they implemented tee bags,
10th.
architectural, but yeah, and the 10th. Make the 10th a drivable par 4, and make the 6th more friendly to try and hit driver. Take away half of those. Just leave like 2 of those big pot bunkers and move the tee on the 5th. Then I think you're in the top 50. Easy. So, I mean, you should be able to get those changes done within a year. I mean, you guys have got piles of money there with all that water, with all those water plants that you're building and that. Okay, Gary, JDV. Let's move on to Gary. So Gary had a very soft landing at 57. And there was a lot of probably glazing from my side. I'll put my hand up and say that I was bullish that Gary was going to get ahead of Cotswold. JDV, my take is I don't see it happening.
No, not this year.
I think, and you know, the new holes at Gary have been incredibly polarizing. They are still changing, JDV. I mean, I sent you the latest snapshots recently. You know, Guy Smith is still tinkering. And look, I think the changes that have been made to those new holes are for the good. And I think he has taken a lot of feedback on. The question is, though, JDV, is that if you are laying out a golf course and then essentially responding to people who are playing it, and look, a lot of them are valid. How, like, it feels like it pulls a little bit of integrity away from like the golf design, like the design process. I've thought a lot about Gary, like having played it a lot lately, and you know, over the last few years, and mostly just chatting to a lot of people, like a lot of people who are playing it for the first time. And I think one of the really difficult things, JDV, is extending a golf course like that. So taking a much beloved, quaint, like 12-hole layout that people sort of almost fell in love with, this like romantic idea of Gary, you know. And I think people loved that 12-hole sort of layout, you know. And essentially, what's happened now is that what's very evident at Gary is that the 2 nines are like very, very different. And I mean, I spoke to people a couple of weeks ago when I played at Young Tom Morris they'd never been to Gary in their lives before, so they had never played the original 12 holes, and they were like, look, it's plainly obvious that this is like reading 2 different books, you know. And I guess, JDV, I was going to try and make it equated to like a movie director who like directs a movie, and then 20 years later, basically, well, what are we at now? I think we're at 20 years from when Gary was first designed and opened, which was like 2007. Imagine a movie director comes back 20 years later after all the different like life experiences and that they've had and other movies they've been involved in, whatever, and they're like, nah, you know what, I'm going to add like another 30 minutes onto this movie, and it's going to be completely different to the movie that I did.
Isn't that basically Star Wars? Isn't that exactly what happened in Star Wars? Is that you came back and looked at it as, actually, I'm going to just change a bunch of shit here, and
I'm going to re-edit this movie, and the last half an hour is going to be like, I'm just going to kill like a lot of people out there, you know, like I'm going to kill the main character, most of his family. Like you can see the different moods that like Guy was in when he designed the course, and like he tried to make the new holes a bit more quirky and like a bit, and I really like a lot of those new holes, but the problem is like the full story is the whole golf course. And I think, to my point, I mean, I love Gary, and people love going there, and I still think in time, 5, 6, 7 years, I think those new holes are going to settle in that. But it's a very difficult proposition for people who have had this like probably a decade of experience with a certain thing, and now you're presenting them with the same thing plus like another menu, another course to the meal, and it's completely different. And you're sort of saying, well, you need to integrate them in your mind. And where I'm going with this JDV is that I just think that story of that maybe slight disjointedness between the holes and also people's personal perceptions of the course, I think are going to hurt it in the short term in terms of rankings. So, I don't see Gari like suddenly moving up into the top 50 or probably I don't see it moving up from where it is right now. Unfortunately.
So interestingly, Gari in 2024 was 55. Gari in 2025 is 57. So it actually dropped 2 places with the addition of the holes. I'm going to disagree with you. I absolutely think that those additional holes, I agree with there's a little bit of a disconnect, but from an experience point of view, there's nothing like it in South Africa. And I can't see why we should go out and punish, that sort of, what I want to call it, like, it's like cutting edge, like not cutting edge because it's borrowed from the Scottish links, but I just feel like it's a bit unfair to go out there and for me, I still say to people, the whole idea about Gari is that it's a match play course, and when you look at it through the lens of match play, it's awesome because it's about what your partner shoots, not about what your scorecard says. And when I say your partner, I mean your opposition. And I just think that it's like almost misunderstood. And it's difficult to then equate that to a ranking where you are going up against, the playability and the rest of it, where, guys' ethos has always been different to what everyone else's ethos has been in these golf courses. So, I hope Gari goes up, but I don't think it will because it's not playing by the same set of criteria as everyone else. And I think Zimbali Lakes, which I know we're about to get onto, is probably got a similar, arc, very different golf course. But again, it's not trying to be a championship golf course. It's trying to be something fun. And Gari is not trying to, be the, like, this is, I'm going to reward all the good shots here and there. It's like, no, you're going to hit a fluffy piece of grass in the bunker and tough shit. Or there's this long, thin bit of green, and actually the play is to not hit the green. It's to land it short and run it on if you're lucky, or, try and find a spot that's an easy up and down. Now, that's not going to equate to a good ranking. So no. T, I disagree with you in the sense that, like, I love the fact that Gari is what it is because it is so different to everything else.
Okay, so but, I mean, don't confuse me. Don't get me confused here.
I just construed your argument.
What I was getting at was I was trying to make the argument for why it's not going to move up in the rankings, and which is basically the general public perception. Yeah,
I hope it does, and that's the point.
And actually, I actually think it will probably be around the sort of 50 to 55 number. And I actually think it might be almost become like a bit of an Mdoni setup where it's like, that's just what it is. And some people are going to love it. Some people are going to be like indifferent about it. And I agree with you. I mean, I absolutely love the place. And I mean, I don't have to tell you that I love it. I love all the quirks. I love a lot of the story. I love the whole idea of Gari. But just from a ranking perspective, I think with the way I see these rankings done and all the different categories that go into it, I just don't see it suddenly powering up into like, I don't know, into the 30 to 40 range, even though I would have it above. I mean, I would have it above a lot of these golf courses just from my own personal perspective, which is, again, where I think, JDV, there's an interesting discussion to be had around the sort of just is it a 1 or a 0? Like, is it better than this golf course in your perspective? And looking at rankings that way. But that's another.
Well, I mean, and that's I suppose an interesting question to ask Stuart again is the different ethos that everyone goes in. Not everyone's trying to make a championship golf course that is going to like test the professionals, and I know that's the playability part. It needs to test the pros as much as it tests the amateurs, blah blah blah. But like something like Gowrie, or let's sort of move into it now, Zimbali Lakes, where's that going to go? It's very different to everything else that you've got here. And when I say very different, I mean, you've got 9-hole courses and the rest of it. So maybe not so different. But where does Zimbali Lakes, coming in from that discussion, where does that fit in for you?
I actually think it's a harder one to predict almost than Gowrie, to be honest with you. Because I think for a lot of the categories, in some ways, Zimbali Lakes is the antithesis of Gowrie, because where Gowrie gets a lot of complaints about playability and that from higher handicappers, I think Zimbali Lakes is the complete opposite. I think Zimbali Lakes is hugely playable. Look, I've played Zimbali Lakes on 4 perfect days, and I'm told if you catch like a windy day, it's very, very, very difficult. But I mean, which golf course isn't very difficult on like a very windy day? It's just that particular area is quite exposed. So I think that it's gonna be quite high up, JDV. I think stuff that's going to count against Zimbali Lakes is just the current situation that it finds itself in terms of the sort of outside area. The fact that some of the golf courses right next to the highway, I think, might count against some of it. And then the fact that there's, as much as you do have some, sweeping ocean views, and you've got these lakes. I say that in a inverted commas because you and I were having a good laugh when we played there the other day about some of the questioning the environmental sustainability of some of those lakes. But it's a construction site at the moment. Let's be honest. It's just earth moving equipment all around you, and that. And then again, it's going to turn from that into like more of a housing estate, But if I look at some of these courses, JDV, housing estates don't seem to get marked down all that badly. In if I look at like courses in the top 30, I mean, Pinnacle Point is number 10. I mean, that's a housing estate. I'm going to take a flyer here, JDV, and I'm going to say it's going to be somewhere between 30 and 35.
Yeah, that's fair. That's exactly where I was going.
I think it's going to come in around the Peakenwood sort of Parkview area. Parkview is currently at 33. I would not be surprised if Zimbali Lakes was in the top 35. That's going to be my massive prediction.
So, I mean, I'm looking at the Ernie Els golf courses here. You've got the Els Club, and you've got at Copperleaf at I think it's 55. And then you've got Highland Gate at 21. Just double check there.
And
21
Obi.
Highland Gate.
I forget about Obi.
Did he do Obi as well? Well, hold my beer. I'm about to discuss Obi after that.
Yeah, we did. But Obi dropped down massively. I mean, Obi used to be a top 30 course itself in the beginning.
Again, I mean, my bold prediction is that Obi is coming back up, I think, with some of the investors and what the sort of the residents and everyone are doing there. So my bold prediction is Obi actually starts climbing again. But yeah, I think I'm not going to say anything more. I agree with you. I think that's where between sort of the 30 to 40, in the 30s, I'd see Zimbali Lakes.
Any other course you want to give a shout out that you think will be a massive, like a big jumper or a big loser?
Which is the one that Duran is talks about that used to be Hans Marinsky? They've changed the name.
Bar Palabora. It's called Bar Palabora now.
It's literally bar, like
not bar.
Palabora.
B-A. Bar, like bar.
Like B-A, Bar Palabora.
Bar. Like
Not
Baba.
like the Eastern Cape. Yeah, no, they're by
George-
Pellavora, what?
George would be able to pronounce it easily.
So
So what do you
yeah,
think that's going to come back in, or?
I'd like
I
to
don't
see
think
it
so.
come back in. I mean, it sounds like the guys are putting a lot of effort and investments into it. I also think Wild Coast might continue to drop. Unfortunately, as
So
much as
I was
love
going to
Wild
ask
Coast.
about that. Do you think it's going to? I mean, Wild Coast used to be a top 20 course. I think it's sitting at 56 now. You think it's actually going to get worse?
I think so.
Why? Is because
So Wild Coast
I'd
is
heard
sitting
that
at Wild
they
Coast
had,
is sitting at 58.
I had heard that they had turned the conditioning around there a little bit.
It's okay. So this is another good point. I mean, how, can they drop worse than 58 if it's literally just the conditioning now that's sort of shifting them one way or another? I mean, it's the holes aren't changing. So maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Look, just my own experience at Wild Coast is it just feels like like I said, I've said a number of times, the sort of the Sun Coast stuff, the Lost City, we were pretty brutal on Lost City when we
So
played there, but again,
they got 12 out of 20 for conditioning.
yeah, it's not great.
But just to put that on a scale, let's say,
Was 42 previous, so it's gone 2021 28, 2022 35, 2023 36, 2024 42, 2025 58. So I mean, it's like just a consistent drop. So do you think it's just going to hang around 58?
I think it might go up a couple, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Interestingly, and again, this is where we need to, I see under memorability, it's like 10 out of 15, which I don't really know. And yeah, I find the Wild Coast like a very memorable course. So, some questions we asked there. JDV, what about Lost City? Lost City dropped all the way to 81. I mean, is that the floor for Lost City? It's got to be close.
It's got to be the floor. I mean, that was also again a top 20 course.
So do we expect that to bounce up quite a bit?
I think so. Although when we played it a couple of years ago, it really was like even 81 seemed quite quite generous. I really do hope it's. I mean, from everyone I've spoken to, they said it was in good nick the last time they played it. I don't know if there was issues with irrigation or funding or what the case was, but yes, it was looking cuck. So I really do hope that was rock bottom for Lost City. Yeah, as you said, it was 50, 58, 65, 70, 81.
Excuse the pun, rock bottom. That's what it feels like when you're hitting your irons off the fairways there. JDV, I think that's kind of covered the board there. Unless there's any other courses you want to mention. I mean, there's some very interesting conversations to be had with Stuart around some of these categories, these scoring categories, because I straight up disagree with quite a few of their assessments.
Cannot wait for this.
And I'm gonna push back to Stuart on a few things. So I think JDV, we're gonna park our discussions of our amazing personal golf aspirations and achievements that we've made over the last couple of years. I think let's keep people on hooks for those. We were aiming for half an hour. We're now at 56 minutes. So
it is
what can we do?
I mean,
well, blame George.
Yeah,
it's less than an hour.
15 minutes.
Yeah, it's less than an hour. So there's that for you guys. But guys, this is why please again send this podcast on to your friend who does that 56-minute commute into Joburg every day from Kempton Park. They could be listening to this episode as they're driving into their office park, and they could be much wiser about the state of affairs of South African golf. So please do share it around. JDV, it's always been a pleasure, and very excited for the next episode that we have with Stuart, and then I'm sure we'll have a follow-up episode with you and I after that.
T, does this episode come out before or after you play Highland Gate?
It could be while I'm playing it, JDV. In fact, I might set it to upload on my tea time for Highland Gate.
God,
So-
I'm looking forward to that. That's I'm jealous. But T, enjoy the Kruger. No Skukuza.
And I didn't mention to you where I'm going to be tomorrow afternoon either, which is
Where's
also
that?
going to make you jealous. It's not Leopard Creek. No, I'm going to go to Kambaku tomorrow afternoon, JDV.
That does make me jealous. Yes, your wife must be so stoked that your Kruger trip is turning into a golf trip.
Yeah, I need to actually put the golf clubs in the car before she gets home because I can see what's going to happen. And she's going to be like, I thought you were going hiking. Oh, your golf clubs in the car. I need to, that's a very good point. In fact, that's a good way to end the podcast right now. I need to go and put those clubs in the car and put a blanket over them. All right, till next time.
All right, Dagger boys.